you know, Simon, I think back to the 90s and all of the things that Republicans were apoplectic about. I mean, they impeached Bill Clinton over his affair with Monica Lewinsky. It started with the Whitewater deal and went on from there. There was all this outrage over them supposedly selling the Lincoln bedroom. Do you remember that scandal where you had John McCain saying they took it to a level the American people find almost disgusting. The president misled the American people, said Representative Dan Burton of Indiana, who was the chairman of a House oversight panel. There was all this apoplexy over almost anything that the Clintons did, and yet now we literally have Republicans, those who are willing to come on the air, and essentially saying that they too, Ted Yoho, Republican of Florida, said he too would take a meeting with a lawyer being represented as coming from the Republican government. You wrote a piece this week in which you said the RNC needs to step up and prevent, you know, future incursions to our election. Why would you even think that's possible if they're not willing to condemn this conduct?
Well, I think it's really important to recognize that what's different from the 90s and now is that the entire Republican leadership is complicit in what happened in the hack in 2016, right? You had the RNC, Reince Priebus and Sean Spicer sending out emails every day promoting Russian disinformation that they knew was from Russia, and they aided and abetted the campaign. My own view is that Sean Spicer and Reince Priebus got their jobs in the White House because they were so instrumental in helping make the Russian campaign a success. The same is true with Paul Ryan and the House Republicans. They used the materials in House race after House race after House race. So all of these Republican leaders were complicit in the actual action of the Russian government in 2016. And so they're defending their president because they were part of the crime. And this is why this scandal is so wide-reaching and why, you know, if you look at Bob Bauer's great piece about the concept of aiding and abetting, right, it is clear that Sean Spicer, Reince Priebus, Paul Ryan, others who are part of the RCCC are all liable for the aiding and abetting statute and could be prosecuted and go to jail. So I think that part of the reason there is such a wide-held defense is that they were all, the entire Republican Party was in on the crime in 2016, and they're defending themselves.
Is that it? Is this just complicity at work?
You know, I think all of those points are really right. I just want to add, you know, we're talking about this is a matter of legal compliance, but it's not just a matter of legal compliance alone. If I could be in a room, and maybe in a sense I am right now, with those Republicans who are complicit, I would say, regardless of what you think of the law, you may be a grandparent now or you may be a grandparent someday. Your grandkids will ask you what you did. Maybe there's some argument about what this is now. I guarantee you, if you have any sense of history, 50 years from now, everybody will think this was a bad thing to have happened.
Yeah.
And they will sit on your lap and they will ask you, and you will have to have an answer. And right now, that entire party leadership is unprepared to answer their grandchildren.
Well, I mean, I think more than that. I think that they are prepared to aggressively move in Donald Trump's direction in terms of his views on Russia. I want to play really quickly Tucker Carlson. This was an extraordinary interview with Max Boot, who we have on a lot, in which part of what he has been arguing is that because the United States was willing to collaborate with Joseph Stalin against the Nazis, therefore we should be fine with really moving aggressively in the direction of cooperation and collaboration with Russia writ large. Just do more of it. This is Tucker Carlson and Max Boot.
Right now, you are supporting Donald Trump, even, and you're laughing about the fact that Russia is interfering in our election process. That, to me, is immoral. Okay, what's your advice, Tucker? Should we collaborate with Russia in committing war crimes in Syria? Is that your advice in furthering the Iranian hegemony over Syria, a country that is dedicated to death to America? Is that your advice at the moment? We do not share common goals with Russia because Russia is trying to further the murderous Bashar Assad regime. They are trying to further Iranian hegemony in Syria. That is not our goal. Iran believes in death to Israel. They believe in death to America. We should not be cooperating.
Richard Painter, I want to give you the last word on this. What do you make of the fact that not only is there an excusing of the Russian interference in the election, but now there is this new line that's being run by some members of the Trump campaign, as well as by people like Tucker Carlson, that we ought to actively collaborate with the Russians after what they did in our election?
Well, I think it's a very, very dangerous line to pursue. Russia's been trying to destabilize Western democracies for 100 years, at least since the 1917 Russian Revolution. What this is about is excusing the conduct of these people who will do anything to win. And I try to teach my kids this in sports. You fight hard, you want to win, but you don't cheat. You don't go and hurt the other players. it's very important that we understand that
Yeah.
this type of betrayal is not acceptable just because they did it in order to win. And that's all they cared about, was winning this election for Donald Trump at any cost, including any cost to the United States.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
I agree with Anand that history is going to judge this extremely harshly, I think. Anand Girardas, Richard Painter, Simon Rosenberg, thank you very much. Appreciate it.